Hi everyone, let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to explain what you do to your family and friends and gotten a blank look? Or is fear holding you and your online business back right now? Now, if you answered yes to either of those, you're going to love this month's free newsletter. How do you get a copy? Head on over to writecom.com now. And by the way, if you want to make more money with your online business, you are going to love our coffee bean money making idea inside. So head over to Writecom, that's WRITECOME.com, and you'll find the newsletter waiting for you over there. Hi, this is Barry here, and you are very, very welcome to today's podcast episode from writecom.com. And today's podcast episode is entitled 50 Things at 50, Part 2. Now, if you've been listening to yesterday's podcast, you will have heard me talk about turning 50 recently. And what I am going to do over the next couple of days is give you 50 things that I have learned since I turned 50. Now, some of these things I wish I had maybe a time machine and I could go back and tell the younger version of myself and give myself some of this advice. So hopefully maybe a couple of these things I mentioned in these podcast episodes may be helpful to you. Now, the first thing we are going to have a look at is number 11, which is you can't please everyone. You know, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter what you write, you will find people who won't like you and won't like what you do. And when I think back to the younger version of myself, I think sometimes I try too hard to be a people pleaser. I would probably, sometimes laugh too much at someone's joke or try and say things to make someone happy because I was trying to please them. And what you'll find is that some people will just not like you no matter what you do. They won't like the look of you, they won't like the sound of your voice, they won't like anything you make. And a lot of us unfortunately try hard to make those people happy or try and sway them over to our kind of side. But when you think about it, what is the point in wasting all that mental energy? What is the point in creating something that, your heart's not really in and that you're actually doing it to please someone else? Because when you think about it, what's the point of doing that? Isn't it not better maybe to do things that please you first? And if people like it, well, good and all. And if they don't like it, well, it's no loss. But at least you've made yourself happy. So if I was to say something to the younger version of myself, would be stop trying to be so much of a people pleaser, because the people who don't like you, who aren't paying attention to you, aren't worth your time and your mental energy. And it's better to focus your time on the people who do like you and who do support you. Now, number 12, I would say, is you can't be a prophet in your hometown. Don't be surprised if the people around you are the least supportive of your dream or your goal or whatever you are looking to achieve. Now, it's not because those people, your family and your friends, don't want to support you or don't want the best for you. But sometimes when you've grown up with someone and you've gone to school together or you've grown up in the family together, and when they turn around to you and then they say, I'm going to be a writer, or I am going to be a podcaster, or I'm going to, create a YouTube channel. A lot of these people, because they have grown up, but it's because they have seen us, the good times and the bad times. They have seen us warts and all. Sometimes they can't see us in that role of being a fiction writer or being a podcaster or being a YouTuber. And sometimes when you ask those people, what do you think? Do you think I'll be able to do this? A lot of these people will kind of maybe run that question through their own life and they'll think to themselves, okay, could I be a fiction writer? And sometimes if they can't see themselves being as a fiction writer, well, then they are going to say to you, no, I don't think you can be a fiction writer. So you will find that maybe some of the people who are the most supportive of you could be complete strangers. It could be somebody on the other side of the world who loves you for your fiction writing, or who loves your YouTube channel, or loves your podcast. And yet people that are around you who you want to support you sometimes are the least supportive. But you will find that sometimes if you keep going, when you start getting results, when you start proving that you can actually do the thing that you wanted to do, you will probably find that they will kind of circle around and will support you at some stage. So just because maybe the people around you aren't supporting you right now, just remember, sometimes you can't be a prophet in your hometown. Now, number 13, I would say, is when it comes to doing something, a daily action plan can get you anywhere. When you think of something huge like the Great Wall of China, it was built one brick at a time. And so it is with a great life. It's always built one day at a time. You're not going to wake up tomorrow and you're not going to be a millionaire. You're not going to wake up tomorrow in a mansion. You're not going to wake up and your fiction book is going to be completed. There's going to be a journey that you have to go on, and that journey is going to be done a single day at a time. And sometimes when we look at the huge journey or the big wall that we need to build, we kind of get disheartened. We think, well, I'm never ever going to get there. But the best thing could be for you is to take your eye off the huge goal and focus it on a small daily action plan that you can do every day. And again, it's like putting a brick into that wall. If you concentrate on putting the best brick you can into place today, you will find eventually that you can stand back in a couple of weeks from now, in a couple of months from now, and you are going to be amazed at the wall that you have built. But it was all done a brick at a time. It was all done a day at a time. So if you have a huge goal, see if you can break it down into a daily action plan that you can take, and take your eyes off that huge prize and just focus on the daily goal and just build one brick on top of another, and eventually you'll get there. Now, number 14, I would say that you probably haven't scratched the surface of what you are able to do, because there is a lot more talent, capability in you than you realize. When I think back to, a few years back, I used to stack shelves for a living. And I used to think that was the only thing that I was capable of doing. I was only capable of stacking shelves. And it was only, when I got a little bit of courage up, when I kind of, tested some of the things I was able to do, I found I could write fiction. I found I could podcast. I found that I could do TikTok videos. And I did hundreds of them. And the same is true of you. You're probably coasting right now and you haven't even scratched the ability that you have right now. And the thing that may be holding you back could be maybe that you're a little bit scared and maybe you're doubting yourself. But I'm telling you right now, no matter where you are in life, you haven't even scratched the surface of what you're able to do. Now, number 15 is that even you can be a hero to someone. Sometimes because we see ourselves as just us, nothing ordinary, nothing over ordinary, that we're just an ordinary, normal person. And sometimes when we see that in ourselves, we assume the rest of the world is going to see us that way too. But you will find that to some people, you are a blogger that inspires them. You are going to be their favorite author. You are going to be a hero that they want to be like. So never look at the thing as just the thing you do, because someone else, somewhere else in the world, might think that you are the greatest thing ever. So even you can be a hero to someone. Even though maybe you're only starting off on maybe your blogging journey, someone is going to love your blog and going to love the content that you create. Or again, podcasting. You may say, well, I'm just another podcaster in a whole sea of podcasters. Who is going to pay attention to me? But you will find someone out there is going to latch on to you. They're going to follow you. They are going to listen to all your content and they are going to look up to you. So even though, when you look yourself in the mirror, you say there's nothing special about me, there's nothing extraordinary, someone out there is going to love what you do and you are going to be a hero to someone. Now, 16, I would say that you probably are the worst judge of what you do. The book that you are convinced is going to be a bestseller sometimes can flop. And sometimes a YouTube video that you cringe at, that you just want to take down, all of a sudden it just takes off and it goes viral. None of us likes to, release something that is below par. We don't like to release a bad video that looks awful or write a book that's terrible. But sometimes, maybe the idea that you're about to toss away, maybe that business thing that you're thinking of doing could be the greatest thing that you ever do. And sometimes what we need to do is, sometimes even though we cringe, even though sometimes we're embarrassed, sometimes you need to put it out there and then you have to allow your audience to make up their mind. Is it great or is it not? And I found that sometimes in the past, some of the products that I have created, I thought were going to be home runs and they flopped. Another, products that I created, which didn't take me long to create, I found they took off and people love them. And again, some of the content I created, some of these maybe podcast episodes, I think, something, there's great content in this. This podcast episode should be listened to by many people, and then I'll go back to the stats and I'll probably find out that it's maybe one of the least listened to episodes. And then I'll find another episode where I think it was just ordinary, there wasn't anything extraordinary in it, and I find that people love it. So sometimes you are the worst judge of your ideas and your content, And what you need to do is just put it out there and see what happens. Some of it will sink, some of it will just take off, but your audience will make up their mind on what is good and what is not. Now, 17, I would say to you, never ask advice from someone that hasn't done it. Now, as I said earlier on, not being a prophet in your hometown, sometimes the worst thing we can do is go to a family member or a friend and say to them, do you think I can do this? Do you think I should write a book? Do you think I'm able to create a podcast? Do you think maybe I should create an online business? And as I said before, that person is going to run that through the mental software in their head, and they're going to look at the thing that you have said to them, and they're going to look at it through their own eyes. Could I create an online business? No. Well, then I'm going to say to them, no, I can't see you doing it either. So just because someone else, says that you can't do it doesn't mean you can't do it. And instead of asking advice from people who have never done that thing, your best route is to go find someone who has done the thing that you are looking to do. Find out what they had to do to get there, and you will find that they will probably have maybe a book, maybe a course, maybe some articles that they have written that are going to be like the breadcrumbs that you can follow to get to where they are. So if you're looking for advice from anyone, find someone who's done it before and go and ask them for their advice rather than asking a family member or a friend. Now, 18, I would say to you, is to read, watch, or listen to inspiring content daily. Now, in the first episode, I said your attitude is really, really important, and you need to control your attitude first thing in the morning. You need to start off with a positive attitude. And sometimes we do wake up in a kind of a negative kind of mindset. But if you take control of your attitude at the beginning of the day by reading, by watching, or by listening to inspiring content, it's going to give you a little bit of a kick in the pants. It's going to give you a good head start on the day. Because when you think about it, we are surrounded by doom and gloom. We're surrounded by negativity, people just going through the motions. When you switch on the TV, all you're met is all the terrible stories going on in the world. When you look around at all the people who are living around us, everybody is just living normal lives. You may be the only one in your street or in your town who is a blogger or a podcaster or has a YouTube channel. And a lot of people are just going through the motions, going to a 9-to-5 job that they hate. And it's very easy to believe that we all should be doing that. But there's more to life than paying mortgages and, just paying bills all the time. So you need to find people who are doing the things that you would like to do. And you need to find inspiring content, because you will find some days it's easy to be dragged down by all the negativity, all the people who aren't thinking big, all the people who aren't doing anything great with their life. So if you are going to be, a light in a sea of darkness, you better make sure that you are keeping an eye on that flame of yours. So every day, try and find something that is inspiring, motivating, that is going to make you want to be more than you are, and can tell you that you can be more than you are. Sometimes maybe a book like maybe a Chicken Soup for the Soul book, where maybe you find out somebody who is in the same situation as you are in, who suddenly did an amazing thing. So sometimes we need that inspiration, and you need to purposely find it every single day to keep that little flame of yours going. Now, number 19, I would say you are forgettable in the great scheme of things. If great icons like Marilyn Monroe, John Lennon, or Michael Jackson can be forgotten after 1 or 2 generations, what are the chances that anyone is going to remember you and what you have did? Now, it's funny sometimes when I talk, to my kids about someone who was a hero in my eyes, or someone I grew up at. For example, I could probably talk about James Dean, and maybe some people would say, who the hell is James Dean? Or who the hell is Marilyn Monroe? Or who the hell is John Lennon? And, it's not that long that these people were huge all over the world. Everybody was talking about them. And yet, a 1 or 2 generations later, they're forgotten about. So when you think about it, if it's easy for people like that to disappear into the mist of time, do you think anyone is going to remember you? And if no one is going to remember you, well, why not just do the thing that you want to do? Why not, put all that embarrassing content out? Do the things that you want to do. Live the life that you want to do, because people are going to forget about you. If we can forget all those icons, we can certainly forget any content that you create or the books that you create. So why not live a life that you want to live, because you're going to be forgotten at some time anyway. And finally, number 20 here, I would say the best lessons are learned outside the classroom. When I think back to all the things I learned in school, all the different exams I did, all the different books I had to learn, and all the different theories and all those different things, they were a total waste of time. Because you will find that the greatest things you will learn about life, people, and what you do happens outside the books, happens outside the lessons, and happens outside the teachings. It's only there that you learn what is useful and what was a waste of time. And you learn more on the job than reading about the job. So if you are someone who is buying books on blogging or watching courses on blogging, because you're trying to find as much content as you can before you start, I'm here to tell you that the best thing you could do is just close all those books, stop watching the videos, and actually start working on that job. And you will find that as you are actually going along in your journey of blogging, you will find, I need to know about this, or I need to know about that. And you'll find that maybe that book only has maybe 1 or 2 lessons in it that are totally useful to you. And you're going to learn more on the job than you're going to learn about the job. So, as I said, the best lessons are learned outside the classroom, and the best lessons are learned when you're actually doing the thing that you want to do. So I'll see you in part 3 of this podcast series, where we are going to have a look at another 10 things I learned on the way to my 50th birthday. Have a lovely day. Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today. If you'd like more from the WriteCome.com podcast, be sure to subscribe now for more tips, tricks, and ideas you can use to make more money from your words. See you in the next episode.